I wanted to say a big thank you to our sponsor, Talent Insights. Talent Insights are Australia's leading data specialist recruitment business. They are experts in recruitment strategy and delivery for analytics and data teams. They are the go-to recruitment business for all your data roles in Australia, and they can help both with permanent hires and short-term project-focused data resources. I've used Talent Insights in the past, and I've always found them fantastic to work with. Visit them at talentinsights.com.au.
I will briefly tell you about the topics that we had in the Advancing AI series to see if there's any questions that come up based on that. So in episode 1, it was about making AI responsible and getting ROI from the investments in AI. And that was with Courtney Abercrombie from the US, which is great. Second episode was breaking through the fear, uncertainty, and doubt in AI. And that was with Stephen Hardy from Ambiata, who is one of the sponsors. And we had Peter Worthington A, which is the Chief Data Officer from South Australia. We had Dave Abrahams, which is the Executive General Manager for Data from IAG. And we had Catherine Lopez, Head of Data Strategy and Analytics at MeBank. That was great. Episode 3 was about dangerous AI, getting AI ethics right at the outset. That was with Ed Santow, who's a Human Rights Commissioner for Australia, Dr. Ian Opperman, who's the Chief Data Scientist for New South Wales Government, and Jade Haar, who is the Head of Data Ethics at NAB. So that was really interesting. Then episode 4 was FOMO is not an AI strategy, and it had 3 real stories that worked. That was with Daniel Shaw Dennis, Senior Vice President at Yellowfin, and that was with Emma Early, Customer Experience Director at Yellowfin. And Yellowfin were sponsoring that series, which was great. Episode 5, we had structuring AI teams with Mina Karha from Finnair. She's the data analytics lead there, so she was from Sweden, calling in, and it was like past midnight for her time. Amazing. And we had Glenn Bunker in that episode as well, Executive Manager for Data Science at REA Group, which are doing a lot of really interesting work. Episode 6 was with Bede Hackney, who's a country manager from Databricks. So we spoke about Databricks and Lakehouse. That was a really great episode too. And Databricks is sponsoring that series. Then we had large companies, episode 7 was how large companies can develop AI with an agile culture and fit for purpose governance. That was with Tim Sparks, who is a former chief data scientist at NAB, but now is the GM of data at carsales.com. So really interesting episode there. And then we had episode 8, which had excellent reviews, one that I really enjoyed as well. And it was applying AI and automation to improve customer experience. And that was with Dan German, who is a chief decision scientist at Commonwealth Bank. And he leads the largest AI team in Australia. And Combank is known for being ahead of the curve in this stuff, and what he was sharing definitely showed us why, and that was an awesome episode, like rave reviews. Episode 9 was Delighting the Customer with AI. That was with Glenn Bunker, Executive Manager for Data Science for REA Group, which I mentioned before, so he came back, and with Lionel Coe, who was the Group Data and Analytics Officer from Dentsu International, which is great. Then episode 10, was about MLOps. So essentially productionizing and scaling the use of machine learning models. And we had that with people from my team, from my work. So we had Alex Diamond, who's a data engineering lead at Honeysuckle Health, and Desmet, who's the data science manager at Honeysuckle Health. And they shared how they work together to create our machine learning ops and our platform and our processes, CI/CD, scaling the use of machine learning, etc. And we discuss how to go from running batch predictions on a model on your laptop as kind of like a step 1 in the MLOps maturity curve, going from there to a step 5, which is streaming predictions. Sorry. So that was really, really good. Give me 1 second. And then we had streamlining business processes with AI, which is Tim Johnson, head of automation from Suncorp Group. This was episode 11. And then we had AI innovation in the energy sector with Lachlan Wallace, who's the chief data officer from Woodside. And he mentioned how they run 10,000 algorithms an hour are being retrained in their data centers. That's insane. So the fact that they have kind of like a closed loop system in their energy plants, it means that everything is IoT. So everything has a sensor that's being sent to the cloud, and they're running 10,000 predictive models an hour, and then providing those recommendations back to the operators. Amazing. And then the last episode 13, was crucial steps to successfully scale AI, and that was with Moha Ganji, who is the head of data science and AI at ANZ Bank. So yeah, and Moha is a very clear, very structured thinker that like provided key points in really important ones, really well structured. I really enjoy that conversation. So through that, sorry, I missed a couple of comments. So Jason says, great to know you had struggles like everyone else. Not for you, obviously, but that successful people do have struggles and learnings from them. Yeah, definitely. It's been tough. Like just like life is tough. And you need help. You need friends, you need family. Everyone goes through ups and downs, and you have to be willing to accept help, as well as be willing to help others. And when you are going through a tough period, understand that other people are not going through a tough period at that point. So be willing to get help, ask for help. That's really important. You're not alone. From Conrad, we had a lull on getting bored on the travel. Yeah, that was maybe a moment of too much honesty there. Jason, unexpected things are often the best, as you don't have the expectations. I agree. Cheryl, yes, very excited to see the development happening in healthcare at the moment. Yep, great. And from Jason, I was surprised by the interest I had in MLOps, but definitely hope to be able to implement that for my clients in the future. Yeah, it was. I've been surprised too. Like I've really gotten more and more into essentially like data engineering. A little bit during my last role, and a lot during, or a little through my last couple of roles, but a lot during this role. And gotta say, it's been surprisingly enjoyable and really important in the part of the value chain to be able to get the value of AI to end customers. So that's really good. And the questions that have been coming in through the Q&A, how do you, from Craig Savage, hey mate, how do you use data to improve data futurology? Any stories on setting up infrastructure, surprise insights, etc.? That's a really good question. So in terms of data in data futurology, there is it's obviously an area of passion, and it's been generally in podcasts. So when we did only the podcast, there is or at least there was very limited analytics at the time, and then it's been improving a lot in the last couple of years. So now you're getting closer to getting metrics like you would get in YouTube videos, for example, or Wistia or things like that. And by that, I mean getting a better understanding of who is the audience that's listening, understanding like at what points people drop off. If you start with like 100% of your audience, does 50% drop off at minute 2, or is there like a slow decline all the way to minute 60, right? And I think a lot of surprises, definitely. One that I'm still reluctant, so I would love to get the opinion of people who are on the call today. One that I'm still a bit reluctant to accept, and it's unlike me to not listen to the data, is shorter podcasts. So what the data is saying on this front is that podcasts should be about up to 30 minutes for us, for our audience. So that's when people set to waver, essentially. But it's interesting because when you're in a conversation with somebody, which is a lot of the episodes that I do is about interviewing somebody, it takes a while to get them kind of like to warm up and be able to share some of the more interesting insights. I always do a call with the guest ahead of time to prep and discuss content and what they can share and the use cases. And I'm constantly pressing them to give us a specific use cases and to talk about exact challenges and things. So, but still, sometimes it takes a while to get them to share the good stuff. So as a result, I've kept them an hour, but from what we're saying is that they should be 30 minutes. And I have from Craig Savage saying that he listens to the podcast at 2x speed. So they are half an hour. It's awesome. Huge fan. I'm a huge fan of listening to things. At 1.5 or 2x speed. That's awesome. So that's been Jason at 1.5 times. Yeah, nice. That's been an interesting learning that I haven't still sort of jumped on. But besides that, it's been like the content. Craig says it's on hearing your voice at normal speed. Yeah, especially now that I'm sick, like double whammy. So it's been useful to understand the context, the content that people want to hear, and the type of questions to ask, and where to share the content. So we moved into YouTube, for example. So things like that has come out of on trying to better understand the audience. So you guys, that's what we're all about. We have another question from David Rios. Says, I recently graduated from Masters of Data Science and looking for a job has been very challenging. I see a gap between uni and industry, especially with the cloud knowledge. Yeah. Can you give us any recommendation of which sort of projects to show to potential employees to show that I have a good foundation of knowledge? That is a great question. Oh, we have a comments from Cheryl. She says he listens to 1.5 times speed as well. That's great. And from Anuradha says, your podcasts of 1 hour are just the right intense discussions on data with experts. So that's good. Keep them coming. Great. Jason, could you do 2 parts per guest so you can promote the second part as a teaser? Yeah, record it at once, but edit it into 2 episodes. That's an awesome idea. Yeah. Because we have had guests where we had to stop the recording in between and then do the second half separately. And you're starting slow again, but recording as 1 and releasing at 2, that's a great idea. Thanks, Jason. Thanks a lot. So going back to David's question around graduating from uni, it sometimes doesn't cover all the knowledge that's required in industry. That's definitely recognized by industry. So as a hiring manager, you are worried about taking about the risk of the decision that you're making when you're trying to hire somebody, and the person trying to get the job should do everything they can to de-risk the decision for the hiring manager, which obviously David is thinking about with this question, because he's saying like how to show that he has good foundational knowledge, and that the short answer is projects that you can share, and that can be if you use projects with open data, open source data, and be able to walk through the different components of your project and explain the trade-offs that you had to make in your decisions. That like just speaks volumes, because it really shows that you're able to take something end to end. That has always been the best. So that will be very job dependent. So if you're going for jobs that are more of a business analyst or business analytics or data analyst, then having like good visualizations, good storytelling, good presentation is going to be much more valuable and kind of like the key components. If you're going for a data scientist, definitely understanding cloud is going to be important. Probably not the key. So for example, like I've had people that applied for jobs, and in their CV they say, I'm an expert at convolutional neural nets and tree-based algorithms. And I go, great. In the interview, I tell them, like, that jumped out at me in your CV. Explain to me CNNs. And they can't. And they really stumble. And then they and I say, okay, don't worry about that. Explain to me ensembling on tree-based algorithms. And I want to hear about bagging, right? And they bagging, boosting, sorry, and they can't explain that. So maybe this is kind of like a tangential tip, is good to have things in your CV, but be prepared to speak to any points. Like I've had senior people apply for jobs, like people are going to be managing teams, they're going to report to me, and they've had particular tools. And sometimes like I just had an interest in the tool, and I said, oh, like I see that you used SageMaker. Tell me about your experience with AWS SageMaker. And they can't say anything about it. I'm like, oh, well, okay, you're right. So kind of like a tip there is to put things that you are prepared to and are prepared to talk about and can discuss well, and have projects that you can that you've done end to end. Can be with open data. It can be showing the code, getting all the way to insight, an interactive dashboard, a PowerPoint, having recommendations, showing the predictions, and showing like any flaws in your predictions, or talking about the flaws in your predictions or flaws in your process is actually good. Some of the best people that I've hired have walked me through their process and then said, this is not as good because of X or Y. Or sometimes, like I had a woman applied for a job, and she's been awesome. I worked with her for years, and she was looking to get insights out of the data using machine learning models. So she wasn't using machine learning for predictions. She was using machine learning for insights. And as a result, she overfitted the data on purpose. And she was like, this model is overfit. That's so it can better learn the data and give me better insights. She's like, I'm not going to use it for predictions. And I was like, awesome. Because as she was talking and showing me through the process, I was thinking, like, you just overfit this model. Like, what are you doing? And then she tells me, without me saying anything, she said, oh, I overfit this model, and this is why. I'm like, done, you're in, come in. You got a job. So yeah, that helps de-risk the process, showing capability, and think about how are the different ways that you can demonstrate the end-to-end process. So you can do the work, obviously. You can end with and you can have code to show, and data, and exploratory data analysis and insights, and etc. The models, machine learning models. You can have a PowerPoint presentation, or anything you want, anything you can think of, a visualization that's online, and then you can record some videos about it, about the end-to-end process or each of the individual segments. They don't have to be long. They can literally be 3 to 5 minutes. And I can tell you, whenever I've been interested in a candidate based on their CV or their application, and they've had videos, I always watch the videos. And sometimes it's videos of people presenting, like kind of like up on stage and saying, like, this is my analysis. For people that did like a hackathon and things like that. And I'm always like, great, that's great. So I encourage you, David or David, to do end-to-end projects using open source data and have code, visualizations, dashboards, PowerPoint presentations that then you show in for the interviews in your CV, give them links and create videos. I can't believe we're almost out of time. So from Anuradha, sorry. Can a person start a business by putting intellectual capital and not the money capital, i.e. funding, and try to get capital funding through angel investors? Yes, definitely. Is this a feasible approach to start and develop any business? Yes. Looking forward to hearing your advice. So yeah, if you have an idea and you can build a proof of concept or a prototype, then there are groups in David says very helpful. Thanks, Felipe. No worries. Thanks, mate. Glad to help. So going back to the angel investor question, yeah, if you can build a prototype, a POC, and have some kind of like scaffolding of a business plan, and I was hesitant to say business plan because it doesn't have to be very detailed. So just like 5 PowerPoint slides tops, maximum 5. You can go in with a proof of concept and some couple of slides. They're obviously well thought out. You can go and present in front of angel investors, which is what we do with my business. So in all of the capital cities, there are groups of angel investors, and they're kind of like older, wealthy people. They get together once a month or once every 2 months, and they have startups pitching to them. And then what they do, which is a really interesting, good process, is that they say who wants to. So you're presenting to, say, 50 of them. And there might be 3 or 4 that are interested in investing in your business. You say how much you need and what your valuation is. And if there's 4 of them that want to invest in your business, they will appoint 1 person to be on your board. So you don't have to deal with all of them, essentially, if you don't want to. And that's been really good. The only sort of pro tip that I would give you, or maybe insider information, is that whatever your valuation is, they're going to try and talk you down. So ask for more than what you think. So I've seen people that they're like, and I've heard angel investors like discussing, they're like, oh, I really like that business. Yeah, no, it definitely has potential. They asked for 50 grand for 20% of their business, but I would have given them 80 grand, but because they asked for 50, I'm going to offer them 40. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? But anyway, that's how they roll. So bump it up a little bit. Don't be ridiculous about it either. And you can go and pitch several times. And there's also VC firms in around Australia. It's a good online community. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out to me as well. Good one. And maybe you might do one other question and then we'll wrap up. Question from Jason. Does the new challenges and environments keep you energized? Seems like you enjoy change. Most people seem to struggle with this. What strategies and decision-making techniques do you adapt to the change you're presented with? Great question. So do I like change? Yes, love it. I've changed my mind over my approach throughout my career. So when I was young, I was like, oh, I need a new company, new role. need to be moving into change constantly, so I can keep learning, wanting to see different things. That's something that attracted me about consulting, being able to like drop into an organization, understand it quickly, be able to solve some problems, take that off, get out, go to the next one, hop from industry to industry, and find the similarities. And that's something that I particularly really enjoy. Like, I've been told a lot of times that I'm quite meta, apparently, in the sense that I always look for the overarching patterns. So for me, being able to see different industries and looking for change, I don't focus on as much. I don't focus as much on what's different. I focus on what's the same. And I try to find frameworks that are reusable. And that's something that I really enjoy to say. And often, like I'm not coming up with these frameworks. Like, I'm just searching for them. I jump into a new area and I go, cool, I can't make sense of this, or I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna like research, read up, try to find something that gives me kind of like a structure that then I can hang my knowledge on. And having those mental models, searching for those mental models, I found particularly useful. So that's something that I always go for. And there are so many similarities, and it helps you. I think that well, obviously I'm biased, but what I like about that approach is that it usually kind of like takes you up a level in your focus. And by that I mean that if how can I explain this? It's one of the things I liked about finance, that finance is an abstraction about how every company works. So every company, every organization creates, or every company creates financials, right? So like, finance is this language that is across everything. And then once you understand that language, you can see not only into these companies, but also how the economy works, because it's interactions of different companies that are kind of like telling you what they're doing in this language. And being able to analyze things from that level, it was really interesting. And it definitely, from like my time at my company and at ANZ, I got to learn a lot more about the industry, how different industries act kind of like behind the scenes. Because like, the bank would be giving loans to companies that you never interact with as a consumer. The B2B world is huge. So that was really interesting, and trying to find the patterns there, but also the patterns in their problems, and then the patterns in approaches to solving those problems. So something that I really enjoyed and really liked, seeing the for example, approaches of how to leverage unique data, unique skills, and how to make that into products that can be sold to multiple organizations. That's something that I've refined and carried with me throughout my career. And I've been refining every time I come across it. But yeah, I do like new challenges, and now, and as I said, like before, I liked moving on quickly, and then in the last few years I've noticed that there's a lot of challenges in not solving one problem in an organization, but transforming an organization. And that's a long road, and you got to build relationships and be known in an industry, and etc. So at the moment, at least, I'm quite excited about trying to do that with Honeysuckle Health, and the work that we're doing for the healthcare industry, and seeing what we can do. It's a really fragmented industry where data sits in lots of silos, lots of pockets, and it can be providing so much more utility and value to society if it was well treated, well analyzed, and insights to be provided back. So I'm keen to do that. Jason says, cool, I'm a patterns person too. I do everything in my business and actually my life as well. I do it with everything in my business and my life. It's hard for me to stop myself. Yeah. Love it. Yeah, I'm the same. That is great. Okay, I might just do the last two questions from Lucas. Hey, Felipe, thanks for sharing your story. I have a question about machine learning ops. What is your view on using feature stores? Do you currently use it when developing your models? Feature stores, Lucas, is something that is very dear and very close to my heart. So yes, we spend a lot of time designing, defining, and creating and using our feature stores, and generally go for either open source tools that do feature stores or kind of like create and manage ourselves. So in this case, we've sort of created and managed ourselves. It's been super helpful, and constantly looking for better ways to do it. So for the people that don't know, if you have kind of like one variable or one column of data for your machine learning model, then that's one feature. And if you're trying to solve a problem through machine learning, you generally have a data set, like a table of data that's being fed into the model. And that's your feature table, or like lots of features in the table. And then you have kind of like the variable you're trying to predict. So it's a feature table. And then you have lots of feature tables that are reusable and can be fed into multiple machine learning models, and where the definitions are agreed and it's tested data of high quality. That is a feature store. So multiple feature tables, and the feature table can be around a domain. So for example, customer or policy or plan, sometimes like suburb, whatever might be your domain, and your feature table is around everything customer say or everything policy, and then you can reuse that from multiple analysis from multiple machine learning models. Super high value for medium analytics teams and onwards. So it's something that I've always tried to put in place in my teams, and we use them in Anger. Okay, last question from Conrad. Hey, mate. How mature do you think the Australian AI and analytics landscape is? If you can talk about where you think the industry is heading, would be nice to hear your view. It's a great question. I think I've actually been quite happy, maybe impressed is the word, with the pace of maturity. So, for example, up to a few years ago, maybe even 4 years ago, I was always like, oh, Australia, we're so far behind. Like, we got to get going and come on. And I was, a bit disappointed. But maybe now I'm feeling better because I'm trying to do something to, like with the podcast, right? Trying to discuss the issues that are going to help us become more mature in this space as a country, and hopefully beyond that as well. But I do see maturity coming into Australia, like in the last couple of years, like the rise of machine learning engineers and the need for data scientists, and how we moved from like finding a shortage of data scientists to having a shortage of data engineers. Sorry, I mentioned, well, I think I said data scientists, but I meant the rise of data engineers and the rise of machine learning engineers. So the fact that we're finding that as an industry, we're feeling the pain, the shortage in the engineering side of data science, that's great, because that means that we are thinking about scaling and serving and automated testing and introducing engineering practices around like bias. Like that's the place that I feel we're in now, that we've moving from kind of like a cottage industry of having models running on laptops or computers to something that can be served at scale. And that's an exciting transition. I'm also seeing more and more startups in Australia combining domain expertise with AI, and that coupling is super powerful, and that definitely takes a degree of maturity, because at least like when I had my company, which is more than 10 years ago, we were just kind of like, we can do, it wasn't even called data science then, more than 10 years. Oh man, I'm old. It was just called advanced analytics, and our pitch was literally like, hey, we can do advanced analytics. Do you want to make good decisions? Call us. Terrible. Well, now it's kind of like startups understand the problem that they're trying to solve from their customer's perspective and understand um, also how to solve it with AI. And that's a huge step in the maturity that I've really liked to see. So I do think that we're doing better. I think it's a journey, and yeah, I think I do like where we're heading. I think that in terms of next the next few years is going to be around more and more people in business learning data science, and at the moment, more people are understanding analytics, but very few understand. I'm talking business people here. More and more are understanding analytics, but very few understand the opportunities that machine learning can provide in terms of predictions and insights. So that's going to be a really good kind of like uptake of an influx of knowledge that is going to hit Australian businesses. That's going to create a lot of value for the country. I'm really excited by that, and it's definitely an area where data futurology focuses on in kind of like providing that that knowledge and that content for non-technical leaders or for business leaders that need to understand what to do with this technology and understand what's the art of the possible and trying to discuss the challenges of taking it to market. So I think that's going to continue. And from data science perspective, I think it's going to go into two different camps that are going to be better and better defined over time. I think one camp is going to be the software engineer or data engineer plus data science. So kind of like the technical camp. And technical by that I mean the kind of like technology camp might be a better description. And then the other camp, I think, is going to be the domain knowledge camp. And both of these have deep AI in it. But the technical camp is going to be kind of like MLOps, data ops, data engineering. What else are they calling it? Kind of like large infrastructures management, being able to run experimentation, so experimentation platforms, probably like managing CRMs as AI platforms. Yeah, very, very highly technical, highly with a big technology focus will be kind of like one camp, I think. And then the other one is going to be the deep domain expertise plus AI, and also like very technical AI more and more, because everyone in the business is going to have more and more machine learning knowledge. So the expectations are going to continue to increase, and we're ideally going to get more and more value out of it. The deep domain knowledge is going to be around, not at an industry level. It's not going to be like, oh, finance, insurance, healthcare, telco. It's not going to be at that level. It's going to be like more specialized, I think. So, for example, in my job now, we have people who are medical doctors who became data analysts and data scientists. And we're like training up other people who are medical doctors and nurses. And that type of like deep domain knowledge is so beneficial. So beneficial. Like there's if you have in this case, say, one person who's a domain knowledge expert, say a doctor, working with one data scientist or machine learning expert, even if they collaborate super closely, which is what you want, it's not going to be as good as if you have somebody who has both of those knowledge in the same head, even if each of those is not at such an expert level as you would get if they were separate. So if you have kind of like the best doctor with the best data scientist working collaboratively, but then had kind of like a, I don't know, 7 out of 10 doctor, and the same person is like a 6 or 7 out of 10 data scientist, that person with the combination of the domain knowledge and the data science skills is gonna be able to do a lot more really quickly, and be able to have more kind of like opportunities, and gonna make big differences in organizations. And I think organizations are going to be searching for people like that more and more, for people in these two camps, kind of like the technology ones and the domain expert ones. In both camps is that plus deep AI. So the understanding and the knowledge of technical data science, machine learning, and AI, that's going to continue to improve, increase. We have more research now than ever before. Expectations are rising as a result of more people understanding, and that comes down to like even in data privacy, governance, ethics. Like expectations continue to rise, and the good thing is that a few years ago it was seen the responsibility of data scientists to sort out all these things, but now kind of like everyone's getting involved in the business community. And sometimes like data scientists might feel that people that have no idea about AI are choosing like AI ethics or things. And I'm like, well, get in the conversation, like help them, teach them. If they have a blind spot, it's not because they're purposefully trying to not know something or like purposefully trying to be ignorant. They're interested and they're trying their best. So yeah, be kind, extend an olive branch, and help them out if you can help. If you can see an area, then yeah, definitely. And I think that's gonna help the industry. So yeah, really good. I think that maybe that's a good note to end on. Sorry we went so long over time, but yeah, really good. So a couple of comments as I was talking there. Jason, thanks for your time, giving insights and backgrounds to your journey, your knowledge. Hope you feel better soon. Thanks, mate. 1 second. From Craig Savage, the realization that you're old sneaks up on you, doesn't it? Yep, so old, man. From Knuckles, it's so true. Thanks, mate. Good to see you. Jason, so you go with the generalist rather than specialist if you had to choose? Yeah, I do. Double down on generalists. Yeah, definitely. From Conrad, beautiful perspective, domain knowledge plus experience and AI is a lethal combination with the right intent. Felipe, really nice to hear your story. Amazing eclectic background. Thanks, mate. So rich experiences. Thanks, man. That's very kind. Yeah, no, it's too kind, man. Like commendable success in business, amazing generosity in mind. Mate, too kind. Thank you. Thank you. No, thanks a lot for coming along and being part of this journey. Like we couldn't do it, and I couldn't do it without you guys. It's definitely this is something that we're doing for you, for the community. So yeah, every time, every episode, the team and I are thinking about how we can provide you more value and the most amount of value. So thank you for being here and allowing us to help. Hopefully we're helping, and this is what we're trying to do: help us as an industry, and for every person to improve their knowledge of AI from a leadership and strategy perspective, and be able to have a bigger impact in your lives, in your career, in your organizations, and in our country and in our world. So thanks so much, guys. It's an absolute pleasure. I should mention now we're doing episodes on Fridays. So come back next Friday in the morning, 8:30, and we have Nona Milmeister, who's the Chief Analytics Officer from RMIT. I hope to see you then. And thanks so much for the wonderful comments, guys. Knuckles says get better soon. Thank you very much. The last bit from Conrad says, big thanks for doing the podcast, even while you're recovering from your cold, and get well soon. Thanks, mate. From Cheryl, amazing. Thank you, Felipe. Very insightful, especially with the two camps merging gradually. Thanks. Get better soon. Anuradha says this was an amazing account of knowledge and experience in data science, AI, ML, speaking for itself. Thanks a lot. Feel better soon. Look forward to more of your sessions in the future. I'm happy to do more sessions if you guys would like to hear some more. Definitely. Send me any questions or ideas for what you would like me to talk about. By commenting on the website, or my email is felipe@datafuturology.com. let me know. Keen to do more like these. And then Monica, thanks for a wonderful session. Hope you feel better. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for your time. Thank you to our sponsor, Talent Insights. This has been an awesome session. Really enjoyed it. Love spending time with you guys. And thank you so much for being here. See you next time, next Friday. Take care, and I hope you're all well. See you guys. Bye.
Thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. I hope that you got a lot out of this discussion. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel so more people can find out about the challenges that leaders have in the analytics and AI space. And that's what we're trying to share in Data Futurology. So please like and subscribe. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please tell your friends. Thank you so much.